We get situated. All right, so while we get situated, I'll go ahead and start with the first component.
Gordon, everybody, how are you doing tonight? Welcome to Live in the Lockdown. And as I promised you tonight, we're going to be having a special guest. We've got Executive Chef Kashif Browne joining us from his home in the US. And he's going to be chit-chatting with us, and he's going to be making something fancy for us. And Kashif is Guyanese, went to the Bishop's High School, started his job in the banking industry a bit before moving on and following the family's footsteps and getting involved in cuisine and all the cooking stuff in the kitchen and so. So we've got Kashif Browne joining us tonight. How are you doing, Kashif? Good evening.
Doing great. How are you?
I'm going pretty well myself. So for folks who might now be tuning in and this is the first time they're learning about Executive Chef Kashif Browne, introduce yourself to the audience for us. Tell us a bit about yourself and how you got involved in this.
Sure, yeah. For those of you who are now tuning in, once again, my name is Kashif Browne. I am now the executive chef of a company called Ridgewell's Catering in Bethesda, Maryland. Prior to that, I was the sous chef at the White House for a couple of years. I mean, my entire career, it's a wonderful story from start up until where I am now. In terms of me getting started on this path, since I was a child, cooking was quite prevalent in my household. Seven siblings, 6 siblings, me making number 7. I'm the youngest of 7. My mom, from a very early age, she had us all in the kitchen, trying to whip up a meal as best as we could. And then it just turned into this.
Tell us a bit, Kashif, about your time at the White House. First of all, explain what a sous chef was or sous chef is, because I understand you started there under the Obama administration and you also worked there under the Trump administration. But explain to us the job description and what went into your daily routine.
Oh, sure. I mean, well, this started all in 2013 when I started there as a server. Serving wasn't my thing, obviously, but it was just a matter of getting my foot, so to speak, in the doors. And then, I had a conversation with the chefs and whatnot, and I told them that, I'm a chef in training. What is the possibility of me coming into the kitchen to work with you guys? And, she made it happen. And I started as a part-time for about 5-6 years. And in 2016, when I was in Guyana, waiting on the arrival of my firstborn son, I received a phone call for the first interview. And to make a long story short, skipping to 2017, during the summer, that's when I started. But, a typical day there, or if I may say, my job description there was to provide meals directly to the first family of the United States. And everything had to be perfect. That's as much as I can say. I won't get into further detail.
So perfection had to be a big thing across there.
Absolutely, okay. Yeah.
So we've been following you on Instagram, and for folks who are on Instagram, you can follow Kashif at Farmer Brown 045, Farmer Brown with an E to the end, 045 on Instagram, because he's been doing a lot of cooking there every week. This week, though, he's going to be making something, and let me get the name right, because when I heard you were going to be making this, I said this should be easy. He's going to be making what's called a salted caramel ice cream sandwich. And I was about to go get bread and ice cream and make a sandwich, and I realized that is not what it's going to be. So explain to us what you as a dessert, and explain to us how you're going to be taking us through the paces tonight.
Yeah, so the reason I'm making this dessert was I was doing some cleaning the other day, right? And I used to work at this sandwich shop in New York, and they only had two desserts on the menu, this ice cream sandwich and a fortune cookie. This was about 10 years ago, and I found the recipe. Um, I am not a dessert, a pastry chef by any means, but I know my way around the kitchen when it comes to desserts. I know the fundamentals. So the first thing we're gonna work on is the chocolate cookie, and the basic ingredients that I'm using for this one. I posted some earlier, but my recipe here is I'm using cocoa nibs. I'm using some all-purpose flour, eggs, baking powder, and unsalted butter.
Why unsalted?
Yeah, unsalted butter.
Why?
I'm sorry?
The reason you're using unsalted butter?
Say that for me again, Gordon.
I was asking if there's a particular reason you're using unsalted butter.
Yes, simply because because of the salt content, and then I added salt into the caramel, so I'm looking for that perfect balance.
Okay, good.
All right.
So what's mixing up in that KitchenAid mixy thingy there? I'm not good at forgive me.
So yeah, this is one of my favorite kitchen equipment, which is the KitchenAid. This stage I'm creaming, which is basically the fat, in this case butter, and a pinch of salt, just a touch of salt, along with the cocoa nibs. So once I cream this and it's nice and fluffy, I'll go ahead and add the melted chocolate along with one egg, and then start adding the flour. I just need this to be nice and well creamed.
And if you could remind us of the ingredients again that's being put into that.
Yeah, so I have eggs, all-purpose flour, melted chocolate. I'm using dark chocolate, so it's not overly sweet. Cocoa nibs, baking powder, and just a pinch of salt and some sugar.
And this makes up what part of the sandwich, the ice cream sandwich?
Say that again for me.
This makes up what part of the ice cream sandwich? Is this
this sorry about that. Yeah, so this is going to be the two cookies that we're gonna place on the outer part of the ice cream. So with this, you're gonna have um, rich chocolate, nice earthy taste. Not too sweet, because personally I'm not a big fan of desserts simply because of the high sugar content, the sweetness. So whenever I make desserts, I try to find that perfect balance.
Sounds about good. And if folks who are tuned in, we've got some folks on Facebook. If you want to ask questions as we go along, you can do so. Of course, if you're now joining us tonight, we are live in the lockdown with Executive Chef Kashif Browne, and he's going to be taking us through the paces in the kitchen, making this ice cream sandwich, a dessert.
Yes. And I think everybody on my Instagram can hear you clearly too, so nobody feels left out. I'm trying to make sure that everyone gets addressed and is a part of what's going on tonight.
You said you're not a big pastry person, not a big dessert person. What is like the favorite meal? Something favorite that you like to make that you enjoy going into the kitchen and do? What is it?
Uh, well, it depends on the day, depends on where I am. But these days, well, not these days. Well, since I've moved here, Well, we've become big fans of sushi. So almost every weekend we would have sashimi or some kind of roll. Sashimi is basically raw fish. In most cases, I use like the salmon belly, or just a nice medium fat content of the salmon. Or sometimes I would use a nice piece of tuna loin. So anything along those lines, I would say, is my favorite thing to prepare at any given time of the day or year.
About how long are you expected to have the ingredients mixing there in that in the mixer?
What I'm gonna so I to give you an exact time, that's gonna be kind of tough, but I go by feel. Once the sugar dissolves and it's nice and fluffy, then I'll go ahead and start adding the other ingredients.
It's important.
So I would say, sorry, I would say we have about another 4 minutes before we reach the next stage.
So it's as if, you know, like when you're mixing a cake, you have to be what they call it, creaming. It's sort of you want the sugar completely melted.
Correct. Yeah, so in about 3 minutes, I should be able to go on to the next step. So after this, I'll go ahead and make the ice cream base. And we're gonna do ice cream from scratch. I pre-made some ice cream as well because, it would take me a solid 4 hours to really get this entire thing done from scratch, because I need to mold the ice cream, I need to unmold the ice cream, and do several different things that I didn't mention when I did the post earlier.
Okay, of course. For those of you now joining us, we're chatting tonight, and we're in the kitchen with Kashif Browne, who's an executive chef, Guyanese, living in the U.S., working in the U.S., and he's making something that I figure folks who like to be in the kitchen can probably try tomorrow. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, so it's something you can probably try in the kitchen tomorrow. He is making a salted caramel ice cream sandwich, a salted caramel ice cream sandwich. And so, he just got started. And as you can see, he's doing some creaming right now.
All right, so I think we're good now. So I just try to feel it, and make sure that it's nice and creamed. That feels good. So I use a rubber spatula, one of the best tools they've invented, and just scrape the ends. The next thing now I'll add is melted chocolate. So this is dark chocolate. It's not too sweet again. And this is about 8 ounces of chocolate right here. So I'll go ahead and start incorporating this.
And again, he's explaining to us also making the ice cream from scratch. So he's not using manufactured ice cream. He's making the ice cream from scratch. So we'll also get a peek into how you can do that from the comfort of your own kitchen.
All right, so I'll scrape one more time and then start incorporating the flour. And that way I can cut the cookies out. bake them off and get to the ice cream. So I'll just go little by little with the flour. Start on slow. A couple of people are asking questions on Instagram. Yes, you can use any other chocolate. It just depends on your palate. If you like sweet, if you like too sweet, or if you like, not so sweet. But you can use any kind of chocolate.
And so you've just added the flour, incorporating that into the mixture with the chocolate and the other stuff. And this is the cookie that we're making, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So I'm not gonna mix this too long. Just want to make sure that the flour is nicely incorporated. Scrape down the edges again. Just give it one more mix and then I'll start rolling.
Khadiva is asking if you sipped the flour before.
The flour was sifted prior, yes. I know sometimes at home people would actually use a sifter and sift it while it's going, or just sift the entire thing, but I sifted prior to just save a step. And then add everything in increments, small increments. All right. So we're done with this. I'll go ahead and roll this off.
And the Guinness is just for company, right?
Absolutely. Do you think you're gonna try this this recipe someday, Gordon?
Yeah, sure. Someday. I like eating sweet stuff. I've never been good at making pastries, or even attempting to. Back in high school, we made something called bread and butter pudding.
Okay.
Make that for food and nutrition exam, I think, and like that is until today, that is like the best dessert I can make. Bread and butter pudding. I can make a good bread and butter pudding any day of the week. Ask me to make anything else, good luck.
What's going on, Shoaib? A few people tuning in now. A few more people. All right. So this is the fun part. Gotta be very gentle, very careful with this. Don't want over kneading. And this part, I might just roll this out to about, let me say, 1/4 of an inch. So you have some, a good thickness when you grab the sandwich. It's not too thin, it's not too thick, it's well balanced.
So the firmness in that mixture, Kashif, the firmness is obviously based on the amount of flour you would have added to the mixture.
Yes. All right, and I'm gonna just pat this down a bit. Start rolling it on this. And then because this has butter inside too, It's very, very, very fragile, if I may say. So one of the things that I can do with this is pop it in the fridge to for it to become a bit more solid and more pliable. It's too pliable right now.
Okay. You must have that that rolling pin there, so you can roll out the dough.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, back in the days in Guyana, you used the old rum bottle, right? You fill it with water, and you
Rum bottle, correct.
and you use that as your rolling pin back in the days.
All right. So one of the things that's very important with making cookies like this is there's something called docking, any kind of dough. So once you dock, you're basically poking small holes like this so it doesn't puff whenever you bake it. So the air circulates evenly through.
What is that that piece of equipment called? That little cookie thing?
This is actually a cookie cutter.
Oh.
Yep.
And if you don't have a cookie cutter, can you use like a glass? I know
You can use a glass. You can use the top of a jar.
Yeah.
Anything that give you a nice clean cut.
Because I know when my mom is making those float bake, she
Yeah.
would use the glass to do the little cutout thing.
All right, so first cookie is coming up, and I can always reshape it by using the cookie cutter again. That's the beauty about this. You'll see. All right, there we go. That's the first one. So once I'm through with this, I'll do a plated version of this dessert. I know any pastry chef that's watching me right now, they might be judging me, but they know the deal. Any questions? My Instagram peeps? Any questions from anybody on your end, Gordon?
I'm going to check for that right now. Folks, if you have any questions about the menu that Kashif is doing, the pastry or the dessert that Kashif is doing tonight, you can pop those questions in if you need clarifications on anything that you're seeing being done in his kitchen. You can ask the questions, and I'm going to have him answer those questions also.
All right, well, that was much easier. I'll do a couple more, and then we're gonna switch over.
Adorn accents.
Okay, we have someone.
Somebody is asking me if I'm using gold tonight. Actually, it's my sister asking me if I'm using gold tonight. What kind of question is that?
You're asking how many minutes in the oven once you prepare the cookie?
5 minutes. 5 minutes in the oven.
Okay, and what degrees? How should you set the oven?
Yeah, ingredients. Somebody is asking again.
No, the degrees in the oven, the temperature in the oven.
Oh, degrees. 330 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, 330 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 minutes.
Yeah, doing pastry, I mean, there's a lot of patience, a lot of precision, and things like that.
Is it best to refrigerate the dough before cutting it out? Hopefully.
Yeah, you could. It works better, but I just figured out that this little spatula right here scoops it up nicely. So, all right. So I'll get cleaned up here. Bake these cookies off, and then we'll get to the ice cream.
What I've noticed, Kashif, whenever you're cooking and we've got Instagram videos, you clean up as you go along. Is that like a habit? Because
Oh yes. As a chef, it's part of who you have to be as a chef. You know, you clean as you go. It's the general kitchen rule. It's the motto. I hate being messy, and it just makes things easier in the end. My coworkers can tell you about me. I lose it. Right? Yeah. Somebody on Instagram is saying that they see a sheet underneath my cookie dough. It's called a sill pat. It's like a rubber mat that prevents dough or anything that you're doing from sticking once you bake it off. You'll see how easily these are going to be removed once they're baked off.
Someone was saying, my sister actually, who's tuned in from Canada, and she's in the kitchen. She was also saying that it might be easier when you prepare the dough to refrigerate it a bit.
Yeah, you can. It's not something that I'm opposed to or I don't do. But yeah, trying to keep it keep things going, because there are a lot of components. All right. So just about 5 minutes, and that should be ready. Okay, so next up is the ice cream. I don't know if anybody is making ice cream with me tonight, but this is how I do it from scratch. I know back home we use a custard base.
Yeah.
And you know the custard that we used to buy in school. It has such a different flavor, yeah. It tastes nothing like that. I use heavy cream, milk, egg yolks, sugar, and vanilla extract. And vanilla extract. So the first thing that I do is combine the heavy cream and milk.
So how much milk, explain to us, how much milk will you need and the portion size you'll get from this?
So it's equal parts of milk and cream. I mean, if you're asking for my exact recipe, just let me know. But like for instance, this ice cream sandwich is not one that I would give out that easily. So it's typically equal parts of milk and cream. Some people use half and half.
And how many yolks do you use?
How many yolks? It depends on how much milk and how much cream.
Okay. That looks about like 4 or 5.
You're close, 6. This batch is going to make about 2 quarts of ice cream.
Okay.
All right.
is you pop the cookies in the oven, a timer, so the oven goes up in 5 minutes or something.
I didn't hear that.
I was asking if you, when you pop the cookies in the oven, if
Yeah.
you were a timer.
Yeah, I set a timer.
Okay.
That's one of the
This guy still
things
went
in,
to timer. So you better remember, you put the cookies in the oven.
oh,
5 minutes, take it out.
yeah, that's very important when it comes to especially baking and pastry. Having a timer on is very important. So this part right here, the egg yolks and sugar. And what I'll be doing is creaming this. So this base is known as an anglaise, which is pastry cream. They make they do filling for like profiteroles or eclairs with this base, and then you just use the same base and make your ice cream base. Let me correct that. With this base for the anglaise, the only difference is that you add cornstarch. Ice cream does not have cornstarch. So I just go ahead and whisk this together.
Mm-hmm. Just watching on.
Right? You can follow me on inside. So sometimes what I would do is just add a little bit of the milk and cream to start loosening the eggs a bit. And then I have what's known as a double boiler here. So it's a pot with water underneath, and then I have the container of ice cream base over, and this helps with the cooking of the egg yolks along with the hot milk and cream. This part is not really necessary, but I just do it. It's, you know, some things just become habit.
And so you have to be continuously mixing that batter while the cooking up.
Yes, if not, the eggs will begin to cook. You gotta constantly
do that for?
mix it. Some people. I'm sorry.
How long do you do that for? The mixing with the heat.
So, once the cream and milk comes to a boil, you slowly pour it over, which is known as tempering, adding the hot liquid, the egg yolks. Because if you add it too fast, the eggs are gonna cook. So you want to add it slowly. And once it thickens, so the cookies, I think, are done. Step back. Oh yeah. So here are the cookies.
So they're done.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and
Literally 5 minutes. So what I'll do after this is allow them to cool at room temp, and then I'll pop them in the freezer to chill completely. Then I'll start the assembly.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And again, folks, if you're now joining us, we have on tonight in the lockdown Executive Chef Kashif Browne, who's joining us from his home in the U.S., whipping up a dessert for us. It's a caramel ice cream sandwich. So he's making that, and it's something you can probably make tomorrow. I know some folks are asking about the ingredients. I published the ingredients a bit earlier this afternoon on my page. So after the live, you can probably scroll down on the page and you can get the ingredients, and then you can watch the live. and you can make it along. The entire cooking procedure is going to be posted on my Facebook page once the live is over.
Yeah, so as soon as the milk and cream come to a boil, I'll start tempering.
We have someone asking if there's anything we can substitute for heavy cream. If we don't have the heavy cream, if there's some other thing we can substitute for that.
If you don't have heavy cream, you can use straight half and half, or you can use half and half and milk. And I believe depending on your ice cream machine, and depending on how many egg yolks you use, you might be able to use just milk. So more milk or same milk, same amount of milk, but more yolks. And I already started the cooking process here by having the double boiler. And if for whatever reason you're whisking and you have your heat too high,
or the heavy cream is available at Massey Mega Store. So Massey, you can come on board as we sponsor this little thing for the night too.
Say that again for me, Gord. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Step back. Step back.
No, someone was pointing out that the heavy cream is being sold at one of the local stores, Massey Mega.
Okay,
so
okay.
they can get the heavy cream there.
Where's the cookie dough?
Yeah, Chief,
I'm about to start tempering.
Okay. We have another quick question, Kashif. Someone is asking if they have an allergy to eggs, if there's something else they can use in the place of eggs.
Yes, there is actually an eggless ice cream that I know. As a matter of fact, when I lived in Italy, we made an eggless ice cream. It was more heavy cream, and I forgot what we use as a stabilizer. But yes, you can make ice cream without eggs. All right, all right, so this is the tempering part. Gradually adding the milk and cream. So this is going to further cook. You just got to make sure that you keep whisking, whisking, whisking. If you want to use a hand blender, that's fine. Typically, you won't see a chef using a hand blender. All right. So I'll just keep whisking this until it thickens up a little more and then allow it to cool completely before I start churning it. Churning means add it to the ice cream machine and have the turns going. And then some people might ask about the foam that I'm creating right now because I'm basically incorporating air. There are a couple of ways to get rid of this foam. I know one is to put it in a container or a vacuum sealing bag and cryovac it. It sucks all of the air out, so you won't have any bubbles. Another one, you can just scoop the foam off, just allow it to settle a bit, and any residual foam, you can just scoop it off.
And of course, you can also use a hand blender, but why do you prefer to do the hand whisking? Is there any particular reason that's a choice for you?
Yeah, I would say it's a chef's thing. It's like, it's like a chef being in the kitchen and you have to cut onions, and then he uses a whopper chopper or whatever they use at home. A chef's knife doesn't look too good on our end. No, it's fundamentals. Like in school, you're classically trained. They teach you to use, like, when I work, I try to pretend as though machines don't exist. Like, I always want to do things without a machine, because sometimes you're in the middle of doing something with a machine and the machine breaks down or just stop working for whatever odd reason. And then you're stuck because you don't know how to improvise. So that's basically why I use, the manual tools. All right, so this is good. The thickness is good. So what I'm going to do now is just strain this and allow it to cool.
I did not realize it was all of that work going into making homemade ice cream.
I'm sorry?
I said I did not realize it was all of that work that you have to
Oh,
put
yeah.
in homemade ice cream.
Yeah. And you can taste the difference with this homemade ice cream versus, like, what is it? Untitled or Eddie's, Haagen-Dazs, and those brands. This is just delicious. All right.
That's why you're putting it to the strainer now. Now when you're pouring it over, why the use of the strainer?
In case the eggs curdle or whatever, and you just need like a super smooth anglaise, super smooth cream. All right, so the strainer catches any impurities, any egg yolk, or anything like that. All right, so next up, I'll go ahead and do an Italian meringue. So a meringue is typically sugar and egg whites. Some people add like lemon juice or cream of tartar for stabilization. I might just do lemon juice if I have. You don't have to. Take you through this step by step. So there are 3 types of meringues. You have Italian, you have French, and you have Swiss.
Explain to us what really is the meringue. For folks like me who may not know, who may not be big in the kitchen, what is the meringue?
Also a meringue. A meringue is basically whipped egg whites and sugar.
Okay. Whipped egg,
That's
sugar.
whipped egg whites and sugar. That's a meringue.
So you use
All right.
egg whites. I know you used the yolks earlier for the ice cream. That's the same egg white you use for this part of it.
So I use egg yolks for the ice cream, and
Egg
those,
yolk cream.
yeah, only egg yolks for the ice cream. So the whites from the ice cream, from the eggs that I use from the ice cream, I'm using that for the meringue. So nothing goes to waste. All right. So the first step to this is cooking your sugar to 240 degrees. What I would usually do is just break it down a bit with some water. You don't have to, again, but I do it.
And white sugar is preferable as against brown sugar?
Yeah, because of the color aspect. of it. And typically they would use white sugar here for most desserts. I guess it you know, in the end, it's all preference. But my observation is that with the brown sugar, you cook it to 240 degrees, it will get darker than if you cook like way darker, obviously because of the color already, than the white sugar. You're looking for like an amber kind of color on this. All right, so while that's happening, I'll get the egg started.
And again, folks, if you have any questions as Kashif takes us along this evening, you can just
I
go
didn't,
in the
I didn't
live.
get that.
Now, I'm asking the folks if they might have any questions. They can pop those questions in the live. And of course, we can have them. We have Janelle McKenna next. That the sugar may be too heavy, so she agrees with you that white sugar is best.
All right. So I might switch over to some margarita just now. It's really heavy on the tequila. That's why I didn't start it too early, because this live probably would have turned out differently. All right. So I'm about to add egg whites. The first attachment that I use on the KitchenAid was a paddle, and you typically use that for like that kind of those. I'm using a whisk because I'm incorporating ear now. All right. Somebody is asking me if you don't have a sugar thermometer, which I have, how can you tell that your sugar is at like 200? I mean, you have to be doing this for quite some time to really know the temperature. For like me, I go based on the color. Like white sugar, it starts to turn like a nice gold, brown, amber. Probably like me, not even being funny, but you know you're almost there.
I did not even realize there was such a thing as a sugar thermometer. That's the first time I'm hearing about the sugar thermometer.
Yeah. All right. Sound too good? Oh, so nice things. Let's maybe have some technical difficulty. Yeah, that's okay. Any other questions? Let me see. Yeah. All right. now I'll pop the cookies
Okay.
in the freezer. One.
And for those of you who are now joining us on the live, of course, it's in the lockdown tonight again. And now Saturday night in the lockdown. And this is our guest is Executive Chef Kashif Browne, coming to us from his kitchen at his home in the US. And tonight he's making a dessert for us. He's making the salted caramel ice cream sandwich. And those of you on my Facebook page, you can just scroll down. Earlier this afternoon, I posted all the ingredients. So of course you can save go back and go through the steps of making this salted caramel ice cream sandwich yourself. I understand it's a really nice dessert, and we're gonna find out tonight.
So I'm gonna slight issue with this mixer, but I'll get it resolved in a second. All right. Up and running. So I'll give you guys a look at the sugar at this point.
Yeah, that's the sugar on the stove.
Still bubbling. You just have to keep an eye on this because it goes really, really quick.
Is there something that you do, Kashif, to prevent? You know, in Guyana, sometimes you're cooking a stew and you make burnt sugar with the brown sugar. You allow the sugar to burn a bit. But is there something you can do with the white sugar to prevent it from burning and sticking to the pot?
What you can do is have a brush, right? And as you see it's bubbling or it begins to get brown, you start brushing. You start brushing the ends with the brush using water. Just keep brushing the ends. The sugar will cook, the water will evaporate, and it will prevent it from burning. And you just gotta keep an eye on it. You gotta balance, know your temperature, things like that.
Okay.
And if you look closely at this, the color is beginning to change. Can you see?
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
Like no sort of creamish look.
I'm about to check the temperature right now. I can tell you exactly where it is. All right, and we are right there. Yep. Sure. Yeah, we're right there. So at this point, you gradually add the sugar.
What is the temperature we're working with again? I missed that.
240 degrees.
240 degrees Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, yeah. And you want to slowly pour it on the end. Because again, you're not looking for cooked egg yolk.
And for folks who are now joining us, Kashif, explain to them what exactly you're doing there right now. Are you pouring the sugar, the heated or burnt sugar over into the other mixture for the ice cream, right?
Correct. This is actually the meringue without type on the plate.
The meringue.
Yeah. All right. So at this point, I'll just let it mix until it's completely cool.
And how long should it be mixed for?
How long?
What's the question?
How long should it be?
Oh, once it's cool. Like I can feel it here right now. It's still warm. So once it's completely cool, we know it's good to go.
Okay.
Somebody is asking me what's the difference between Italian meringue, Swiss meringue, and French meringue. French meringue has egg yolks, if I'm not mistaken. The Swiss meringue, let me get to the Italian meringue that I just did. That's the egg whites, and then you cook the sugar to 240 degrees. And then the Swiss meringue, you combine the egg whites and the sugar, and you cook it over a double boiler, like I did the ice cream earlier. And yeah, sorry about that. And you let that come to about 170, 172 degrees. So once the sugar is dissolved and it's nice and warm, you put it to the mixer and you start whipping. The most stable meringue is the Italian meringue.
Sorry about that. Kashif was explaining to us that one of the things you do as a chef is that you clean up as you go along after that stuff packed up after.
So from this, you just eat and you drink. You don't want to think about cleaning while you're enjoying the food, you know?
Yeah. Anytime I'm in the kitchen and go wait till tomorrow morning. Once I finish whatever, tomorrow morning the kitchen gonna see me back.
Yeah, tomorrow morning is a whole nother game because as you know, Mother's Day and stuff. So plan to have somewhat of a massive throwdown.
Okay. So you're doing a big cookout tomorrow for your wife?
I can't hear you.
You're doing a big cooking tomorrow for your wife?
Yeah.
So give us a peek into that menu while we're waiting on the stuff. What are some of the things you're gonna put together tomorrow in the kitchen?
Oh, so I'll share some ingredients actually since I have them to outside. So I work with this farm called the Chef's Garden. It's in Ohio. Probably they do micro greens. They specialize in micro greens, micro vegetables. Everything is like hand picked. Everything is grown in individual pots. They're the best in the country. Like nobody else can compare. I've been to the farm several times, and I've seen from when they plant the seedling or the seed up until the finished product. So here I have some breakfast radishes, different types, and then I have baby carrots. So this will definitely go into a salad of some sort. These are called Jerusalem artichokes. It's kind of like a potato, but higher water content. This is celery root.
The celery root?
Yeah, celery root, yeah.
What do you make with that?
You can make a puree, you can dice it and roast it. Yeah, it's a very hearty root vegetable. And then I have more baby carrots, some cobalt baby carrots. Like if you taste these things, Gordon, trust me, you would never want to eat a regular carrot ever again.
What is the difference?
So then we have some baby zucchini and yellow squash. So basically the menu is going to be a lot of roasted vegetables, nice fresh salad, and I have some lamb in the fridge. So we'll definitely do lamb. And I don't know, I might do a roasted chicken for Keanu because I don't know how he will feel about the lamb. And then I have a special tea that we're brewing for breakfast tomorrow. So this is like mints, different kind of mints, some different florets, some flowers. And then here you have some sorrel, you have more mint, you have thyme, and things like that. So that's basically it.
Tomorrow's the big throwdown in the kitchen. The big throwdown in the kitchen. Half a bottle.
Yeah, yeah.
No rice.
No rice, no rice.
You know, three quarter again. I'm gonna cook some kind of rice tomorrow.
Well,
Like rice, jasmine,
you know,
corn
I'm
rice.
opposed to it, but I eat rice Monday to Friday. So taking a little break, doesn't hurt. All right, so if you guys want to take a look at the meringue, we're almost there. And the consistency keeps changing. Now it looks like a pearl white. It's glossy. It's silky. That's kind of what we're looking for. It looks like clouds, basically. We're making a salted caramel ice cream with Italian meringue.
So that meringue mixture takes a little time in coming together. Seems so.
I didn't get that. Sorry about that.
The ice cream that you're making there, it takes a bit of a time.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's why I had to. I still have to mold the ice cream and unmold it. So I'll just give you a quick sneak peek of what I did prior to this class.
What do you mean mold the ice cream and unmold?
Show you exactly what I did.
Okay.
So here we go. So I put the ice cream in a silicone mold. Right? In order to get this shape. And then I scooped a little bit from the middle and fill it with the salted caramel. That's why we call it the salted caramel, because I didn't want to incorporate
the caramel inside of the ice cream. I just did that for us, but it's a nicer look. And when we get into it, you'll see. Probably one of the sexiest desserts I've ever made. People complaining about not cooking rice tomorrow, brother.
Yeah, folks saying rice is a must. You need some rice.
Yeah, about 1 more minute, and this is good to go. Let it go on low. So while I gather my garnish, put everything else together, and then we'll try to plate it.
Kashif, do you recommend, like, for someone who's going to be going down in the kitchen tomorrow, should they prepare like the dessert first and put that away early? Because the desserts sometimes take longer than the main course might.
Yeah, like this one. No, absolutely. That's how I typically work. So I would do the dessert first and then move on to the other dishes. Because typically desserts are served cold and you want to make sure that it remains cool and it's, the perfect temperature once it's given to you. So this is done. And they have three levels of peaks. Well, two, there's soft peak, three, soft, medium, and then stiff peak. So this is stiff peak. Once it stands up like that, we know it's good to go. All right. And again, this is the most stable meringue.
So as I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna do two plated versions of it. Or you can just wrap it up in a silver foil paper and unwrap it and eat it like an actual sandwich. Nothing is wrong with that.
Explain to us a bit of what you're doing there, Kashif.
So right now I'm just transferring the meringue over to the piping bag to start piping the dessert and garnishing the plate. So I'm using two different tips. Using a flat and then just a regular round tip. Sometimes meringue can get really messy, so you really have to take your time and know what you're doing. And I always like to test first to make sure that consistency is there. And you want to squeeze it all the way to the end, because if there's air in there, when you start piping, it'll go like poof and you'll miss a spot and it'll mess up the whole presentation. You're gonna have to start all over again. All right. So this is just a different piping bag with a different tip. Now that that's ready.
How many?
Actually, no, never mind. Right. I like these. Yeah, I like plating on black plates or like slate or anything of that sort.
So you're taking the cookie back out of the refrigerator.
Yes, sir. Right. So they're nice and firm. So then the interesting part now. So these are the molded ice cream right there. So it's probably not what many people imagined it to be. I don't know if they're,
So that's the molded ice cream we're looking at there?
molded ice cream, correct.
Okay.
So this will, yeah. All right, step aside.
And that's caramel in the middle, right?
I couldn't hear you.
That's the caramel in the middle?
Yes,
Salted
sir.
caramel?
Yes. Right, and like I said, the last time I made this dessert was at least 10 years ago. So looks like I still kind of have it. Surprised. So typically I never really envision what I'm going to do prior to, plating it, any kind of food. I just like wing it. You just, find a flow. You think about things like less is more, and you just go with it.
What is interesting, Kashif, when you said you were going to make homemade ice cream, I was thinking about one of the big ice cream makers, and putting the ice and the salt on the ice and the little thing in the middle spinning around. That's not the case.
Oh, no, yeah. It's just a little different. So this machine I actually.
No, he was saying usually
Oh.
ice.
Oh, yeah. I was actually looking at that the other day too on on YouTube to see the various ways that they used to do ice cream indeed. This one, I actually bought it from Amazon, had great reviews, and it worked out very well.
Because they didn't get to see that step. So that's why.
Oh, okay. I can still churn it before we leave so you can see how that process goes. All right, so the first one. All right, so this is basically it. All right, and then with this, just to spice things up a bit. This is one of my favorite toys in the kitchen.
So what are you doing there with that little flaming gun?
Just blow torching it. This adds another level of complexity there. There's more depth. So you're gonna get a roasted marshmallow kind of taste.
Explain to us a bit, how do you keep the ice cream so firm? Because, you think ice cream and you're thinking it's gonna melt, it's gonna be messy. But it appears as though it's very, very firm.
Yeah, so once you make this and you mold it, you keep it in the freezer for a very long time, minus 5 degrees, and even lower. The key thing is making sure that it's frozen, just properly frozen. All right.
What we did there was slice the cookie caramel thing in half, and the decorating stage now.
Yeah, basically, nothing to, you know.
It looks real fancy. I must
That's
say.
a,
How would I imagine? And what is that you're adding now?
that's just like some chocolate covered pearls decoration. And then just for the final touch, you know, sometimes I can't help myself with this. I don't know what I would do without this.
What is that? Another gold paper?
Yes.
That is like your signature. Explain to us the love of
You
this
know.
gold paper.
You want me to tell you the truth or you want me to lie to you?
Tell us the better one.
All right, so the truth, like I just think, I mean, when you see gold, you think royalty, you think elegance, you know, just in the amounts that you use it, obviously. It really adds another element to any kind of food that you're doing, that you're plating. And this is called a Citrus Marigold. These are all edible flowers. All right, so this is just one.
I'm totally taken aback and a bit surprised. I was expecting something, but I was not expecting this because we were watching this from scratch. And
Yeah. I mean,
something this
yeah,
fancy.
everybody saw it, so I'm happy about that. You know, it's nothing is store bought or anything. You guys saw everything from scratch. So yeah.
I must say that looks really good and really tasty too.
So I just did some piping on there, and then I'm gonna just quickly blow torch. And anything like, you know, I garnish the food with is obviously everything is edible. Every single thing on the plate is edible. So this is 24 karat gold. And that is it. So I hope you guys
Had a wonderful time viewing this. I hope you learn, different techniques, and so you can see how simple this is to create. I mean, any questions, you can always DM me or whatever you wish. But this is the salted caramel ice cream sandwich.
And it took us just over an hour, about an hour and 30 minutes of making the actual dessert, and that looks real good.
Yeah, thanks. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of desserts, but this one, I would devour it. The purple garnish, that's called a bachelor button. That's the name of the flower. The first one I use is it's called a citrus marigold. There are several different types. There's Johnny Jump Ups. There's citrus lace. There's violas. There's snapdragons. They're endless. They're endless.
Can we see a closer shot there of that one? I know your beautiful wife Sulan has been doing camera duty tonight, and a pretty good job. If we can see that one from the top a bit, Sulan. Wow.
I actually taught her how to use the camera. Not looking for credit or anything, but yeah. she's a quick learner.
She's doing double Instagram and Facebook live. And
yes, I wasn't expecting this. So there you see the caramel just, oozing out. All right. So I think safe to say that we've successfully completed this dessert. So I see people are asking for my Cash App. All right. So any questions, guys? Any further questions, Gordon?
Yeah. Before we wrap up, folks, if you have any questions, you can ask right now. Or some folks are asking whether you're making that for Mother's Day tomorrow. If that is going to be the dessert for your Mother's Day treat in the kitchen there for tomorrow.
Yeah, actually, I have a ton of dough left. I have a ton of ice cream left. So this will definitely be the dessert tomorrow. I may push in a lemon meringue tart. I'm not sure as yet. But as of right now, this is the dessert. And hi, Chef Angelo. How are you? Yeah, bunch of friends now tuning in.
I think some folks are asking if you have a cooking channel. So I think after this, you might have to establish a cooking channel on YouTube.
I think so. Yeah, many people are telling me about YouTube. So we'll see how it works out. Maybe that's the next step. And thanks again, everybody, for viewing. And Angelo, I cut my own hair, just for the record. You can tell, right? Hats off to my wife. So actually, if I may say, Angelo, who's on my Instagram right now, I used to work at his restaurant where we did this dessert. So I think he just got the end of it. And I told him I was going to do it. He was surprised that I actually have the recipe after 10 years or whatever.
Maybe one week the two of us will go live cooking. You hear me, Angelo? I hope you did. So yeah, yeah, guys, thanks a lot again, and I hope to see you next week. I'll post probably on Monday what I'll be doing next week. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and have a wonderful weekend. Good night.
And thanks a lot, Kashif, for allowing us into your kitchen tonight and taking us through the paces of that really nice dessert. And I know folks are very appreciative of it, and so we thank you for that. You got to open a restaurant in Guyana sometime, so folks can, folks like me who sit down drooling over the camera right now, can get a taste of what you can expect. And folks, you may not know this. I'm going to tell you now. Kashif's sister is the owner of Shay Shay Restaurant down there in the Kitty area. She's also a really good chef. So when everything opens back up, you can also check out the Shay Shay Restaurant just near to the Kitty Market. They do really good food there and stuff like that. And so I know she'll be happy to see some of you popping in. And next time Kashif is in, maybe he can do a big guest night and have a few folks come by and of what he can be whipping up in the kitchen. But thanks a lot, Kashif, for having us in the kitchen with you tonight. Thanks to your wife, Sulan. Happy Mother's Day, Sulan. Hope you're going to be having a great Mother's Day tomorrow. Thanks
Thank you, Gordon.
tonight. And we look forward to more of this. And folks, you can follow Kashif on Instagram because that's where he does most of his cooking on Saturday nights. His Instagram name is Farmer Brown 045, Brown with extra E to the end. That's Farmer Brown 045 on Instagram. Go follow him. You can scroll through and you'll see some old menus that he did before, some old recipes that he did before. And what I'm going to do so folks can follow what we did tonight, the video is going to be up on my Facebook page, and I'm also going to upload the entire production to my YouTube channel, the New Source Guyana YouTube channel. So you'll be able to also go across there and follow everything step by step. And maybe if you try it out and it comes out good, you let us know. But thanks a lot again, Kashif. Thanks a lot, Sulan. I don't have any fancy ice cream. I have Obiqua wine, so I'm having a glass of Obiqua wine, and that'll do it for me tonight. So thanks again, guys. It was great being in your kitchen.
All right, it was a pleasure, Gordon. Thank you very much. All right, have a good weekend.
Have a good night. And thanks to you folks for watching. Remember, we're going to do this again next week on In the Lockdown. I'm going to probably have on somebody else. I'm going to let you know during the week who we'll be talking with next week. But again, we had on Executive Chef Kashif Browne tonight, taking us through the paces of that dessert. And we thank you for sticking around for the past hour and a half or so and cooking with us. Have a good night. Stay safe. Remember to wear that mask if you're heading out. Keep washing the hands and sanitizing, Guyana. And those of you watching abroad, stay safe too. Thanks a lot, Kashif.
All right, thank you, Gordon.